Shut up! I'm the one in charge of the family. You need to put me first, no matter what. Bart's fever is no big deal. I couldn't ignore what he had just said. How could you say that? As a parent, you should value your own child above all else. Why can't you understand that? When I said this, my husband, Bart, has said something unbelievable. The one who brings in the money to this family is the greatest. So that means that the first priority in this house would be me. If you can't live up to that, then get out. At this moment, something snapped inside me. All right then, I'll leave. Yeah, get out. Well, you wouldn't be able to live without my salary anyway. My name is Rachel, and I'm a 30-year-old housewife. My husband, Bart, and I have been married for 5 years. We have a 3-year-old son named David, and we are currently living together as a family of 3. My relationship with Bart was good at first, but recently, he has been getting on my nerves because of his arrogant personality. I met Bart at a blind date. I was immediately attracted to him, and he worked for a decent company and had a bright and cheerful personality. He seemed to like me too, and we started to date right away. And after dating for a year, we got married. In the beginning of our marriage, Bart was a kind and caring person. He even helped me with the housework and celebrated our wedding anniversary and my birthday. However, as time went by, he gradually began to treat me with disrespect. At first, I tried to convince myself that it's normal to be less in love the longer we were married, but he was acting too cold. Hey, why haven't you ironed my shirt? Also, when I wake up, you better have my socks and everything ready. I had a hard time taking care of David. You aren't a child, so you should at least prepare your own clothes. Huh? How dare you defy your own husband? Because of me, you're able to live a nice life. Bart tries to make me do everything like this, and when I refuse to do it, he gets angry and says something like, I'm the one who provides for you, so you better obey me. He seems to think that he is a mature husband, but to me, he is just a child who gets angry when he doesn't get his way. Bart started to behave this way because our son had just been born, and it was difficult for me to get a divorce right away. And I still have a complaint, or rather a problem, with Bart. He hardly puts any money into the family budget. Bart gets paid $2,500, but he only provides $500 a month into the family budget, saying, that should be enough. He spends most of the rest of his salary on his own clothes, his hobby of golf, and other such things. It's not enough at all, and we can't even save for our own after retirement, or even the education fee for David wouldn't be affordable. No matter how much I tell Bart, he says, I'm giving you the money that I think is enough. I've already decided it, so use with what you get. I tried to persuade Bart, but I can't make any progress at all since he won't even listen to me. Why has Bart become like this? I desperately ask Bart to put more money into the family budget for our son and for our future life, but he doesn't listen and we always end up fighting. Nevertheless, he complains about my housework. It is impossible for 2 adults and a child to make ends meet with just $500 a month. So, in order to make ends meet, I have no choice but to cook only small portions or make easy, cheap meals with cheap ingredients. So, it's only normal to have the same dish most of the time. But Bart points that part out and tells me, you are a useless wife who can't cook at all. before that, our relationship was not looking good. I even think that I put up with it pretty well until David turned 3 years old. But then something happened that made me realize I had reached the end of my patience. One evening, David was very quiet, and I thought he might not be well, so I put my hand on his forehead and found that he was burning hot. I took a thermometer and found that he had a high fever, so I immediately took him to the hospital. At the time, the hospital was no longer open, so we went to the emergency room. But probably my timing was not good because there were so many patients and we had to wait for a while at the emergency room. "We'll be called soon, so hang in there." I called out to David, who was in pain, and waited with him to see the doctor. Finally, the doctor called us in, examined David, gave me some medicine, and sent us home. I fed him something easy to eat, gave him some medicine, and put him in bed while cooling his forehead. I feel a little relieved. It was the highest fever David had ever had, so I was quite upset and, as expected, exhausted. At that moment, I heard the sound of a key opening in the lock and Bart had come home.
"I'm home."
"Welcome home."
"Hey, where's my dinner?"
"Oh, I'm sorry. I'll make it now." I was lying on the couch and was about to get up and head for the kitchen.
"What do you mean?"
"Huh?
You think I'm an idiot, don't you?"
What are you saying?"
"Then why don't you have my dinner prepared?"
"I'm sorry. David had a high fever and we had to go to the hospital. So I haven't had dinner yet either." I tried to explain as calmly as possible to avoid a fight, but Bart wouldn't listen to me at all.
"You've got to be kidding me. I couldn't care less if you haven't eaten or not. Just make sure my dinner is ready."
"I don't know how you can say that, but David just had a sudden fever, you know."
"Shut the hell up. I'm the one in charge of the family. You need to put me first, no matter what. Bart's fever is no big deal."
I couldn't ignore what he had just said. "How could you say that? As a parent, you should value your own child above all else. Why can't you understand that? Normally, when you find out that your own child has gone to the hospital with a high fever, the first thing you do is worry about your own child." When I said this, Bart had said something unbelievable.
"The one who brings in the money to this family is the greatest. So that means that the first priority in this house would be me. If you can't live up to that, then get out."
At this moment, something snapped inside me. Until now, no matter how disillusioned I had become, I had hoped that one day Bart would return to this kind husband he was back then. But it seems that there is nothing to hope for anymore. He is finished as a parent when he can't think of his own child first, and I can't keep up with his mentality that the one who earns more money is better than the one who doesn't. All right then, I'll leave.
Yeah, get out." "Well, you wouldn't be able to live without my salary anyway." "Well then, I'll be eating out tonight. It's best for you to go back to your parents' house and cool off."
Bart said that and left the house. Does he think that I'm a weak housewife and that I can't do anything? I'm gonna show him what I'm capable of. I packed my bags while Bart was gone. David still has a fever, so I will wait until he feels better. I got myself ready to leave whenever I had the chance and went into the room where David was sleeping to nurse him. The next day, David's fever had gone down. It was in the morning and he is still sleeping away. After wiping off David's sweat and dressing him, I went to the kitchen to have breakfast, only to run into Bart, who was on his way to work. When he saw me, he smirked.
What? You haven't left yet?
I can't until David is feeling better.
You can't really afford to even leave, can you? You are a jobless housewife, so you're doomed.
He laughed as he said that and left for work. He makes me angry even more. How did he become such a horrible man? When we were just dating and at the beginning of our marriage, he was at least a little kinder and more considerate to me. While I was thinking this to myself, my son woke up. Mom, I'm hungry. Are you feeling better now? Yeah, I'm feeling much better. My son was feeling better, and after breakfast, he looked much better, so I decided to leave with David within today. I called my parents to pick me up by car and put our luggages in the car. And by mid-afternoon, we were already at my parents' house. The moment I entered my parents' house, I lost all my strength. I felt dizzy and I almost fainted, and my parents were very worried about me. Are you okay, Rachel? Yes, I'm sorry. I think I was trying to be strong this whole time to protect ourselves.
Wow. Bart must have really pushed you around a lot.
Yeah, it was definitely worse than moral harassment.
It was that bad, huh?
Both my parents were shocked about Bart. Grandpa, let's play together.
Ah, yes. Let's do that. Oh, let's go buy some snacks.
Oh, snacks! I want to eat some. Dad took out David in order to let me rest. You should lie down and rest, Mom says as she gave me some blankets to rest in. I said thank you as I got into my blankets and went to sleep. A few hours later, when I woke up, it was already in the evening and I could smell a delicious smell. It seems that my mother was cooking dinner. When I went to the dining table, I found a colorful array of dishes, all of which looked very delicious. David looked very excited, saying, "It looks delicious." My mom's cooking was so delicious that my body and soul were filled with a sense of satisfaction. You should stay here as long as you want.
What you need is to heal your stress.
I felt as if a massive weight was lifted off my shoulders when my parents said that. 2 weeks passed in the blink of an eye as I spent time relaxing. Then one day, a visitor came to my parents' house. It was Bart. Dad asks me,
What do you want to do?
As he looks into the intercom. I don't want to see him yet. When I told him so, my dad said,
Okay, go in the back.
And he took care of Bart by himself. Bart insisted to see me, but my dad stubbornly refused, so Bart finally gave up and left. The reason why Bart came over was definitely not to apologize. When I heard from Dad later on, Bart never mentioned anything about apologizing. I'm certain that after 2 weeks, Bart was trying to get me back because he couldn't handle the housework by himself and that the house was getting messy. But that's not my problem anymore. I hope he learns how hard house chores are. I mean, he used to help me with the housework, so he just had to remember what he did before. I guess he just forgot because he's not used to doing it. While coming back to my parents' house, I blocked Bart's number, so the only way he could communicate with me was to come to my parents' house to see me in person. I didn't return back to Bart after that and stayed at my parents' house with David. My husband visited me several times during that time, but Dad returned him away every single time. Then, 1 month passed after I left with David. Bart was indeed at his limit, and he desperately asked,
Please, let me see your daughter. Please.
while bowing to my father. I thought it was time for me to meet with him, so I asked Dad to let Bart through the living room to see him. David was taken by my mom to wait in the back room. Bart, whom I hadn't seen in a long time, looked terrible as his hair was shaggy and his clothes looking all dirty and shabby. He came after work, so he was in a suit, but his jacket, pants, and shirt were so wrinkled that I wondered if he had slept in them.
Hey, Rachel, you've had it enough now, right? Just come home.
That was the first thing he said when he saw me for the first time after a while. At that moment, my hope sunk even more. My feelings towards him became an iron wall. I need to get away from this person as soon as possible.
I don't know what you're thinking if you're not gonna say anything. My house is so dirty and I don't know what to do. As my wife, do your duty.
Bart says to me, even though my father was right next to me. My dad looked very shocked because Bart had said exactly what Dad had heard from me. Is that all you have to say? Normally, you should be apologizing, you know?
Huh?
Bart looks at me cluelessly.
Why should I be the one apologizing to you? You were the one who left me, and you were the one who isn't doing any housework. I went out of my way to come to you after you did something selfish, you know?
Is he being serious? I really can't save him anymore. If you're thinking like that seriously, then there's nothing else I can do. Let's divorce. With that, I confronted Bart with the divorce papers I had prepared after returning to my parents' house.
Huh? Divorce? Why are you saying this all of a sudden?
All of a sudden? Don't be stupid. Do you have any idea how much you have hurt and tormented me? If anything, I should have asked you to divorce me way earlier. You make me do everything you don't want to do, and you don't even help me raise our child. And you only put a little money into our family budget. There's no way you can support a family of 3 with just $500 a month. How can you not even understand that? It's because you always put yourself first, isn't it? Bart looked like he was in a shock since he wasn't expecting me to be this angry.
But you've been making ends meet with what I've been providing. And your meals has been decent lately.
Did you think I wasn't doing anything? I'm doing remote work now because the money you're providing isn't enough.
Huh? Really?
I knew I couldn't provide a better environment for David if I didn't do anything, so I looked for a job where I could work remotely. Then I found a job as an English teacher. I had lived in the US as a child and was fluent in English. My pronunciation was not that bad like a native English speaker, and I had attended international schools in Japan and studied abroad at a university in the English literature department. So it was all a good fit for me. I immediately began working as a teacher. I searched for ways to make learning English enjoyable in my own way and thought of ways to keep my students engaged. As a result, I studied many Western movies and music and decided to create my own teaching materials by collecting phrases that could be used in daily life. Most people who wants to learn English likes Western movies and music. So, I changed movies and artists I used as my teaching materials according to the preferences of each student. This seemed to suit the students perfectly, and many of them began to ask me for my help. Because of this, I'm now earning quite a bit of money.
I had no idea. How much are you earning?
About $4,000 per month.
What? That much?
So I make a lot more money than you do, and I don't need to live with you anymore. Bart was completely in shock. He was shocked to find that his own wife, whom he had thought was below him, was earning more than he was.
Why am I so miserable?
What do you mean? All of a sudden?
My colleagues are all being promoted before me, and recently, my juniors are also getting ahead of me. They all think I'm an idiot. And to top it all off, you even earn more than me.
I let out a huge sigh. So what?
Huh?
It doesn't matter if your salary is lower or higher than the people around you. What's most important is whether you and your family are happy or not. For David and I, it doesn't matter if you aren't being promoted. What is important is that you make time for your family and make sure that you can provide for them with a certain amount of money. Don't you think so? I don't want you to hurt me just to protect your petty pride.
Shut up! A man's got to fight a battle and he can't lose.
With that, my dad, who had been silent all this time, opened his mouth.
So, you are trying to satisfy your own self-esteem by taking out your stress at work on my daughter. And you spent a lot of money on your own hobbies, clothes, to relieve your own stress, while ignoring your whole family?
Bart looked uncomfortable at my dad's words.
As I told my daughter, the most important thing for you as a husband and father is for you to be the main pillar of this family and support by providing to this family. But after all, you only think of yourself. I can't entrust my precious daughter and grandchild to a man like that any longer. Now sign the divorce papers and get out.
My dad was very angry. He had been trying not to lose his temper in front of me, but he had reached his limit. Bart signed the divorce papers, trembling in fear of my dad, who was extremely angry. After, Bart said,
"I'm sorry,"
and left quickly. Thus, this is how Bart and I ended our marriage quickly. Afterwards, I heard from a mutual friend about Bart that Bart is apparently saying,
"I dumped my wife because she was a lousy, useless wife."
But the people at work already know how Bart is like, so they shrug him off. No one would want a man like that to be their boss, so Bart has remained as employee with no promotion for years. Once, a new employee had asked him, "What? Are you a mid-career employee and you haven't been promoted even at that age? What? Are you a new graduate who joined here? You can't do your job, huh?" And was made fun of, so he had left home early with a red face. Apparently, once you become an adult, a twisted personality is something that cannot be cured. I made up my mind to raise David with care, hoping that he would grow up to be a straight and honest child, using Bart as a bad role model. David now smiles at me with such a cute and carefree smile that he has no elements to become a bad character like Bart. In order to protect his wonderful smile, I will work hard every day. Bart is such a stupid man who destroys people's happiness to protect his own petty pride. However, I am sure that Rachel and David would have had a hard time, so I'm glad that she was able to divorce Bart quickly. I believe that if she earns that much money, she can definitely make ends meet as a single mother. I hope Rachel will continue to live a happy life with her beautiful son. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. See you in our next video.